Hello, girls, guys, or otherwise. This is Rich, and welcome to our Witchy Book Club series. As per usual, we are going through The Inner Temple of Witchcraft by Christopher Penczak. If you do not have your copy, go ahead and go into my pants there and get the link to it's an Amazon link to get your copy. Do try to get them from a local bookstore, local witchy shop. Help out the small businesses rather than getting them from Amazon. It's just something I like to say because I think we should support small businesses, especially with me having my own. Anyway, little points of order before we go on. I just finished editing tomorrow's video, so I do have to apologize for the volume. It kind of sounds like I'm talking into a tin can. Everything's perfectly able to be heard and all that. It's just that it kind of annoys me because usually I'm trying to be a stickler for the way that the mic is set up and everything, and I fooled with the settings, and I was a fool for fooling with it. So, going to clearly admit that. Also, the reference to going in my pants, I said that on that video, and yeah, I think I'm going to start using that. Go ahead and leave a comment in my pants and whatnot, or get the links down there, the nether regions. Let me know how you guys like that. If you don't like it, then I won't use it, but I think it's kind of funny, a little tongue-in-cheek, a little suggestive, but yeah, just suggestive enough, I think. Anyway, grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab whatever beverage you might have, whatever beverage it might be that you are drinking. Sit back, relax. We're going to go through Chapter 12 of The Inner Temple of Witchcraft. Also, in tomorrow's video, you'll see that I inadvertently rhymed with my little grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your beverage, whatever it may be, or something like that. I inadvertently rhymed, and I wanted to continue using it, and I totally botched it up. It's a thing. Yeah, I don't know why. Anyway, I may have to go over that and listen to it again and make sure that I get those quips and quotes just right next time. But anyway, grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab whatever beverage it might be that you are drinking. And we're going to go into Chapter 12. But before we go into Chapter 12, we go back to Chapter 11 and we review our assignments. Now, I will be completely honest, as I have been during this, that I did not do any of the exercises. I have been lacking on journaling, which journaling was a big part of my 2021 goals, was to get to journaling, every day and whatnot. And that's something that I have not gotten to the point of, is journaling every single day. Certainly not the 3 pages a day. And part of that is because, I think I've said this before, I drive an hour to and from work. On top of that, I work 10-hour days. And I've been putting in some overtime because of one of my coworkers who is dealing with cancer. And again, if you guys could send, positive thoughts, vibes, positive energy, Reiki healing, whatever you do as a healing modality, prayers, however you conceptualize that. If you could send this helpful energy in any sort to her, it would be much appreciated. She's pretty far there, and it's not great. They're still trying a lot of things, but she is feeling very weak and whatnot. So any help that you can give would be appreciated. So yeah, I've been working some extra overtime at work, and on my one day off last Sunday, and this is Friday that I'm filming this. It's Friday almost at 8 o'clock. So hopefully I can get this edited and uploaded in time for the Saturday airing, which I should be able to. But Sunday was my like first day off this month, or since the whatever that first Friday was of the month of March, Friday the 5th. So in like 2 weeks I've had today off. That being said, well, like I said, last Sunday I worked and whatnot with helping somebody move furniture and whatnot. But this is my like first full day off to actually do something that I wanted to do, which is editing and uploading videos that I've either already had recorded or recording videos so they go live. I've done the Tarot Talk Tuesday video. I did the Christo-Paganism Sunday video, and I'm doing today's, the video you're watching today. So 3 videos, recorded, edited, uploaded, great. Plus the Table Talk Thursday videos. I have a couple of those that I've already uploaded and they're ready to go to be released on their scheduled basis and whatnot. So yeah, got a lot of things done today on my day off, my only day off since the 5th in like 2 weeks. So anyway, the point behind that all being 12-hour days, basically from the time that I leave the house to the time that I get home. And on top of that, I wake up in the morning at like, 5:45, 6 o'clock, somewhere around there. Get showered, get dressed, and get on my way. And then 12 hours later, I show up back at home, and it's dinner time. Then it's, maybe a little studying time or some time with my boyfriend or whatnot, and to bed. I basically have like 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours to actually get something done during the evenings. So that being said, I have not had a lot of time to devote to doing exercises in this book. A lot of the exercises I have done before, whether they excuse me, whether they have come up in this book or in other readings and whatnot. I have done many of these exercises before. They are similar to other exercises. There are ones that I definitely want to do that I have never done before and never seen proposed before. So I do intend on doing those. That being said, I didn't do my assignments. Aura gazing, I have done that before, especially with animals, which you know who is sitting right here, or laying right here. She's being a good little girl. Miss Jellybean. Well, unofficially her name is just Jelly. It's not Jellybean, but my little pet name for her. Anyway, let's see. Focus on regular meditation practice. Okay, I fully recognize that I have not done that. Honor and recognize your intuition. I do that. Using instant magic in your daily life, not necessarily. There is something that I will be doing a more extensive practice on. But I do not want to share that for obvious reasons. Not publicly yet. Neutralize unwanted thoughts and intentions. Again, I don't really do that. If you see the merits in that, go right ahead. I do see merits in it. I like to sit with the thoughts and emotions to know why I feel the way I do, and examining that further and further until I peel away all the layers. And continue using light in your life and meditations. Yes, I do that. Anyway, so we get on to lesson 8 in chapter 12. This is journey work. It's not an incredibly long chapter. 15 pages? It looks like. So not a long chapter. I'm going to try to make short order of this. Like I said, it is going on 8 o'clock here. whenever I'm filming this, and I still need to, slap together a little editing and uploading and whatnot. And yeah, we're gonna get on into this. Let me put that up there, and okay. So we're starting on page 221. Again, this is for the edition that I'm looking at. Your edition may vary. I don't think they've come out with re-releases or whatnot, but if you're reading it on a Kindle, it will vary. I do have the Kindle version, and it does vary on page numbers. So, anyway, Chapter 12, Lesson 8, Journey Work. He begins. He, as in Christopher Penzak, begins. Witches take many journeys, traveling far and wide, but not always in the physical realms. A good opening. Not his best, but a good, solid opening. Witches take journeys of spirit, learning to walk between the material world and the spiritual planes. Yes, of course, I can see this. He goes on further down here. The flying broom is a misinterpretation of ancient fertility rites. The women would dance in a circle, broom between their thighs, jumping and hopping up in an act of sympathetic magic. They jumped up with these phallic fertility symbols, mimicking the upward growth of new plant life, doing magic to ensure a fertile crop. And then he goes into flying potions. I do want to say about flying potions before we go into this, or flying ointments, to be careful of what is in a flying ointment or flying potion. Sometimes there are mind-altering substances, which it is intended to do. Just be aware of how your body may react to certain oils and herbs and whatnot. Be aware of what you're putting on or in your body. Ideally, usually, it is on your body. There's not many people that suggest that you ingest oils, and I'm not doing that. So yeah, just be aware of what you're putting on your body and what is contained in a flying ointment, and if it is toxic or not for you. Some ointments have certain items in there that may be harmful for your body, may make you break out in a rash or act a little bit more uncontrollingly. So do be aware of that. Proceed with caution on those. So I just want to put that little caveat on there. If you're making your own, you know how your body reacts to the herbs that you use. Hopefully, if you're going out and you're getting these herbs and putting them on your body, or these oils and resins and whatnot, and you're putting them on your body and not knowing how you're going to react, and you're playing around with things like that, research everything before you put it on or in your body or in your general vicinity. Some herbs and oils are toxic, and you need to be careful and aware of that. So definitely do your research. Moving on to page 222. Inducing an altered state and focusing your perception on a non-physical reality is an act of journeying. Terrific. Yeah, I have... I mainly induce an altered state just by regular meditation. I don't use incense that often. I do have incense to use. I use them more just for the scent and because they smell wonderful and whatnot. I don't necessarily use them in meditation or journeying work or anything like that. But, inducing an altered state of by focusing your perception on a non-physical reality being an act of journeying, I totally agree. And I do induce it in a way of meditation. Moving on. You are traveling without your physical body, but you're within your subtle bodies. Because of this, You are not limited to the distances your body can travel. You are only limited by your own mind and will. I do agree with that. There have been times whenever I've traveled across the world, and yeah, it held pretty true. So, at least uh, in that experience, I got the messages and the comfort that I needed from it. So in that way, whether it was physically true, the way that I saw things or not, it was comforting, which was the point. Um, yeah. Believe it or he goes on here. Believe it or not, you have probably done some form of spiritual travel before. If you dream, you journey, and everyone dreams even if they don't remember it. I don't entirely agree on this. Um, that dreaming equals journeying. Yeah. I don't think that that is always the case, and I think he does touch on it here, in a different section. I can't remember if I underlined it, and I'm only reading the underlined portions, which you can tell I underline a lot. It's probably why the videos are so stinking long. Anyway, I don't agree that whenever you're dreaming, you're necessarily traveling. I think some people do, and I totally can get on board with that. But I think for many people, the act of dreaming is trying to process things in your subconscious that your conscious mind needs to know, or that you need to kind of work through, that your mind is working through it. I think of dreaming more like that. Of course, there is um, there is a situation where you can be journeying in dream work. There is a situation where you can get messages through dreams and whatnot, and I totally am on board with that. But I don't think that just because you're dreaming, you're journeying. And I don't think that he's saying that entirely is cut and dry. But yeah, I wanted to point that out. Further on down, spiritual travel can be easily divided into two main categories: those that focus on physical locations and those that do not. Okay, so let's go on in. Astral travel. For journeys of the physical realm, you are focusing on a physical location that your body does not currently occupy. I've done this. Um, not, for me, not entirely always accurate. He does go into that later in this chapter, but for me, astral travel, physical astral travel to a different physical location is not always accurate for me. However, I do get what I need from it. Like I said, in certain situations, being there in astral form was more about the comfort that I needed from it, and I got that, so I achieved my goal there. Excuse me, I am so sorry about that. That has been creeping up on me for a long time here. Again, I've been doing videos so much, and yeah, I'm starting to get a little winded here. So I do apologize. Moving on down. Most people call this experience astral travel. And I'm skipping around here, and I do realize that. Most people call this experience astral projection. I'm sorry. But remote viewing, psychic travel, soul travel, outer journeying, and mental projection are other terms applied. I have heard them called pretty much all of these other things. Soul travel, not so much. Outer journeying, no. Mental projection, kind of. Um, remote viewing, yes, I have definitely heard it called that. Psychic travel, a little bit, but mostly remote viewing, and I have called it astral projection for a long time. So, anyway, uh, the goal is to physically, or I'm sorry, is to psychically retrieve information about the location. The proof is to actually visit the location to verify this information. Again, whenever I did this, it wasn't necessarily to visit a place for validation. It was to visit a place because of a comfort that I needed. So there are different reasons to travel psychically to a physical location, and whatever your reasons may be are your own. And whether or not you validate what was physically there, I don't think really matters, as long as if you get the message or the comfort or whatever you need. Oh, jeez. I am so sorry. This is gonna happen a couple times. I do apologize. Guided meditation. The second type of journeying is not goal-oriented, at least in regard to physical verification. This journey focuses on your own personal experiences. I'm going to be jumping around this page a lot. This is page 223. Imagination is key to these realms, as well as allowing the experience to happen. You may feel that you are making it up, and in a sense, you are. But that does not make the journey any less real. This sounds like Harry Potter. End of the 7th book, and I do enjoy Harry Potter, no matter what that English person says. I do not stand with her, but I do enjoy the books themselves. So yes, I don't stand with her. I stand with the work, and I will. Yeah, I think Harry Potter's its own entity now, outside of her. And anyway, this takes me back to what Dumbledore said in the 7th book. Is this happening in my head? Of course it's happening in your head. But that doesn't mean that it's not real. And this kind of sounds like Dumbledore here, and I'm there for it. Whenever it comes to journeying, the guided meditations, any type of journey that you do, yes, it's all happening in your head. That doesn't mean it's not real, that it's not real to you, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't carry some weight, some reasoning. So, anyway, when we stop focusing on an actual physical location, we enter a realm beyond form, a realm of energy and vibration. Jumping around a little bit. If you feel you're making the experience up with your imagination, you may be choosing the symbols on some level, but the energy and experience are very real. Okay. I completely jumped around there over the symbols. He's talking about symbols coming from your conscious and subconscious, and you receiving these symbols. I've talked about making your own book of symbols and what these symbols are related to and whatnot. And during these astral journeying sessions, you may get certain symbols that come to you. Like, you may be sitting there and saying, oh, hey, look, a tree. And a tree means to me growth, and that's my personal meaning, is growth. And yours may be that, hey, my uncle was a tree farmer, so that could be meaning farming or something like. I'm just picking stuff out of the thin air here. But your symbols will mean something specific to you. It's not necessarily um, the cut and dry, these are the symbols, this is what it always means. So that is to be kept in mind there. And whether or not you're making up the experience, whether or not you're seeing symbols that you are yourself forcing, that doesn't mean that the experience itself is not real. It still has reasoning for being there. There's a reason that you're picking these symbols out of thin air, and examining those reasonings will help you overall. So, moving on. Although most journeys are led in terms of visuals, all the psychic senses are engaged. People will often smell, hear, taste, feel, and know information in the journey. Okay. Yes, you get this a lot with guided meditations and whatnot. You're encouraged to taste and feel and hear and see and experience with all the senses what is happening in that situation. One thing I wanted to touch on here was, he says, when I led such a journey, many participants comment afterwards that they were ahead of me, doing things slightly before I said them. Perhaps they were anticipating me or reading my mind. Or better yet, perhaps they were going along with a very real group journey. Others will go off and do their own journey, not following my words, and that is correct for them. The best thing is to go with your first perception. And I wanted to read that because I do this a lot in guided meditations. I've mentioned psychic teachers before. They used to do a guided meditation, and sometimes they still do. But they would do a guided meditation. And I would end up, sitting there, and it's like, okay, you're taking forever to get to the next step. So I would go about my way. I'd be like, do. And, how many times while I'm listening to this and I'm going on my own way here, and all of a sudden, the teacher, one of the psychic teachers, just said to do exactly what I went off and did. So, am I reading her mind? Am I just going along with what seems right in this meditation? Could be. Either one of those. Could be both. Don't know. I am drinking Mocha Latte by Javalia, if you guys are interested. And I put a little extra sugar in there. Yeah. Anyway. He goes on to say, guided imagery is sometimes called pathworking based on the Kabbalah spelled in different ways, or the tree of life is a map of reality, a map of spiritual planes. In this system, figure 25, each sphere represents a dimension or level of consciousness. The lines connecting them are paths. Paths and spheres are associated with colors, sounds, angels, planets, tarot cards, and ritual tools. Again, let me stop there. And I think it's Donald Michael Craig, Modern Magic. One of the other books up for nomination for the next book in this book club series, does associate that because it is a book based on Kabbalah and whatnot, or loosely based on Kabbalah. Does associate the tarot cards with different spheres in the Tree of Life. That is part of the study in there. And yeah. Again, looking for votes. So far, Outer Temple is winning by 2 votes, 2-0. So if you have any inputs for the next book that we go through, after the Inner Temple Witchcraft is the Outer Temple Witchcraft in the series. If you would like to switch up for Modern Magic by Donald Michael Craig. I think it's Donald. Pretty sure it's Donald. Let me know by writing a comment in my pants. Okay. Moving on. Many personal meditations are based on these images, moving from one sphere to the next via a path, hence the name pathworking. And then, of course, we have the well-known view of the Tree of Life. So, anyway, we're going to move on. Top of page 225. And, let's keep on going here, guys. We're half an hour in, and I want to get all this chapter done within the next 15-20 minutes. Let's try it. We're going on to dreaming. Dreams are another way of interfacing with a non-physical reality. So many people believe that dreams occur solely inside one's head. But, as we are learning, the mind is not limited to the brain. So why should dreams be? See, I don't think we necessarily always dream just in our head, but I think the vast majority of us do. I think that our thoughts and feelings and everything are more so being worked through with dreams, like I said before. Okay, we're going to jump around here. With dreams, we obviously let our subconscious translate the messages we receive using symbols. These symbols are sometimes obvious, but these symbols are sometimes obvious because they are also part of our conscious mind. And at other times they are veiled, needing to be decoded and understood by our conscious self. If you survey the general populace, the majority of people would say they cannot control their dreams. Dreams simply happen. Although that is true, there exists a small minority, particularly those practicing forms of meditation and mysticism, who can control their dreams and use this time in very unusual ways. Absolutely, I'm there for it. They experience journeys to physical and non-physical locations, speaking with spirits, learning new information, solving problems, and actually controlling the dream itself like an extremely vivid guided meditation. I totally agree with this. There are some people, like I said, that will journey. One instance is the psychic teachers. I bring them up again. One of the hosts, Samantha, whenever she was starting to come into her mediumship, she said that she would go to basically what she considered a night school. While she was dreaming, she would go to the school and, she would practice with throwing energy at this beast and whatnot. And, some of it sounds like, this was a way of her working through stuff, but it also sounds like, yeah, that is totally a thing. They could have totally gone to this area where, she is learning, energy work and whatnot. And I'm okay with accepting that as a reality. I think that is totally possible. And overall, whether it's happening simply in her head, or she actually astrally projected to a location and had a night class where she's learning about her psychic abilities, either way, at the end of the day, she learned her psychic abilities and she learned how to manipulate energy and, wrap people up in an energy bubble and whatnot. And either way, whether it was happening in her mind or not, it was still real for her. And I am there for it. Moving on. Controlling a dream is called lucid dreaming, and I think we've talked about this before, not in this book, but I think I've talked about it before. As the dreamer, you are clearly aware that you are in a dream. I'm going to jump around here a little bit. Unlike meditations where you can be easily distracted, if you do not allow yourself to go deeply into an altered state with lucid dreaming, you are already in a deep altered state and cannot be easily distracted. Okay. I have nothing to say about that. At the very bottom of the page here, since we are working with the subconscious, don't be discouraged if the initial results think of dream work as a wonderful tool to use if you have it, but don't let any difficulties hold you back from continuing your studies. And I think that's good roundabout advice. If you are, let's say you're studying tarot, maybe you're studying along with us for Tarot Talk Tuesday, and these cards don't don't call to you. Maybe something like an oracle deck, which I don't have readily available right here, right now, next to me. But maybe an oracle deck does call to you. Use the oracle deck. If lucid dreaming isn't working for you, don't be discouraged by it. Move on and study something else that does work for you. I think that there are some people that get stuck working with tarot because they think that they need to work with tarot, when it's just one modality that you could use. I think there are people out there that have kind of forced themselves to learn tarot because they think this is how they're going to be taken serious as a witch. However, you can study oracles. You can come up with your own method, your own system, and have that be it. I started off with pendulum work, and I moved on from that and runes to tarot, or to oracle to tarot, and I've kind of dropped runes. I'll go back to them from time to time, but not like I used to. Not like I used to read them. Now it's more tarot, sometimes oracles, and even pendulum has kind of dropped off by the wayside for the most part. I still pick it up, and I still have my spirit board over here that I will pick up every once in a while. I'll do a little spirit communication with that. But, it's stuff that everything has a season, and you'll come to lucid dreaming whenever you're meant to come to it. And for some people, that might be the be-all, end-all. Maybe you're like, who was it? John Dee, I believe. The sleeping prophet, I think they called him. Where you're laying down, and whenever you're dreaming, you're getting messages, and you're just reciting them out, or you're muttering them out. Maybe you're like him. However, maybe you'll never reach that point. Maybe you're a person that is fully awake and you do automatic writing. It's one thing to say lucid dreaming isn't for me. I'm getting to the point. It's one thing to say that lucid dreaming isn't for me. I'll still try it here and there, but if I never get it, I'm not too worried about it. It's one thing to say that. It's another thing to say, okay, lucid dreaming isn't for me, therefore I guess I won't try automatic writing because that was the next thing in the book, and I guess I won't do that, and I won't do pendulum work because I'm bad at doing automatic writing or something, stuff like that. It's that you won't move on to the next thing if one thing doesn't work out for you, whereas they're two separate disciplines or two separate things that you may or may not be gifted in, and you need to recognize that. And it's okay to say that lucid dreaming isn't for me, because it might not be. don't get discouraged. Just continue with your studies. And move on to page 226, where it says about Shamanic Journey. Now, before I get into this, I do want to say that the son of a gun, I can't remember who did it now. I have a Shamanic Vision Quest CD that I was going to plug for this, and I can't remember who it was that did it. Give me 1 second, because I think it is a great CD. Let me see who it is. Come on. Oh, if I can even get the, oh, son of a gun. Because I think they were brothers. There it is. David and Steve Gordon, Shaman's Vision Journey. And I'm gonna... Oh, geez. That is terrible. Hold on. Okay. That's still pretty bad. You guys can't see it. Here. Does that make it any better? There we go. Yeah. That one by David and Steve Gordon. It is, I think, an hour long. I do recommend the CD. And, you know, CD's so archaic now. But David and Steve Gordon, Shaman's Vision Journey. They have a couple different CDs and whatnot out there, a couple different releases, and I do recommend them. I think that one is fantastic, and I do recommend it. I had some tracks on one of my videos before, but it got flagged, so unfortunately you can't go back and check that, so sorry. I would recommend that video if you could hear some of it, but people loved it. They loved the calmness to the background music and whatnot. And yeah, whenever I see this Shamanic Journey, I think of that. And I'll tell you what, Little Miss over here, whenever, let me go ahead and turn that back on. Whenever she was still dealing, she still deals with anxiety, her and I both. But she's always been a very anxious kitty. I would put that on to sleep too. And as soon as she would hear the first track, she would come in and she would lay down and go to sleep. And that is how I've gotten her, Little Miss Jelly, to come and sleep in the bed and be at peace, because that's whenever I would be meditating and she would come in and she would lay down and meditate with me and whatnot, and we would both go to sleep together. It has taken years to get her, it took about a year and a half before she would even really sleep in the bed with me. And then even after that, you know, she would start creeping from laying next to my head and then eventually laying on my lap while I'm sleeping. And for years, every single night, I would play that music, and she would, that would be her sign for it's time to go to bed. And now it's just, I tell her, let's go night-night. And she's, boop, right there. It's brought us closer together. It is, you know, as human and familiar. And I cannot rant and rave about this CD enough. Anyway, that was a long about way of going into the recommendation for one CD. Let's continue here, because we got a lot of things, and I'm going to be jumping around a lot here because I do want this to be an hour or less. So, Shamanic Journey. The last form of journeying is the Shamanic Journey. Shamanic trance is an altered state of consciousness entered through a variety of means, but most often involving drumming or music. Some traditions, I'm jumping around, keep that in mind, some traditions involve the use of various plants, sometimes of a psychotropic nature, to facilitate the process. The old witches' flying potions are part of a long tradition of European shamanism. Again, be aware of what you are putting in or on your body and make sure that it does not negatively affect you in any way. So, caution there. Jumping around some more, or reading on. In the practice of core shamanism, otherworldly journeyers had a basic map of reality like the Kabbalah. The shaman's worldview was also often associated with a tree. The world tree is seen as a giant sphere, a universal axis or axis mundi, a ladder of sorts connecting all levels of reality, as shown in figure 26, as we see there. There we go. Something like that. I'm sorry, baby. Did somebody wake you up or something wake you up? Is it time to get up? Okay. Jelly just woke up. Anyway, continuing to 228 in Shamanic Journeys, the practitioner uses the tree and these 3 areas as a guide for further adventures, influenced by the mythology of one's particular culture or personal experiences. Although most use the world tree image, some traditions use a world mountain rising in the sky and rooted firmly in the earth. Any image can be used to represent the cosmic axis, like a ladder, beanstalk, or skyscraper. I do like the idea of a skyscraper. Like, you get in and you take an elevator, you go up, you go down, you know. If you get into a wonkavator, you go up, down, sideways, up, down, you know, out the roof, wherever, I don't care. Diagonal and sideways and backways and frontways, all the ways. So maybe you get into an elevator and you go up and down through these different levels and realities and whatnot. And then he goes into level of reality. And this is where I started getting a little, you know, just highlighting different portions. Because we've already touched on chakras. We've touched on them lightly enough. Again, I think I might have to do a whole series on chakras. So, yeah, that might be a thing. Anyway. Got a little mocha on the bottom of the cup there. There we go. Levels of reality. Mystics act as psychonauts, explorers of the vast unknown spiritual realms. Each explorer's experience is unique and personal. It is important that when you study these models, that you understand that they are just models. They are not absolutes. Important to note. In Model 1, I have found to be very helpful is the concept of the 7 levels of reality based on the chakras. Each chakra is associated with a subtle body, as discussed in Chapter 11. And he shows that there. So, there you go. Okay, moving on. We're going to jump to 229. The Etheric Realm is the one most closely associated with the physical. Anything with the physical body has an etheric template, a duplicate. The astral plane is a level that people are usually very interested in. The astral plane is a plane of shape and form, but not matter. Some texts openly discourage, I wanted to read this one, openly discourage astral travel because some practitioners have been frightened. The astral plane manifests your thoughts into forms, and these practitioners manifested their subconscious fears and anger into a vision of a frightening creature while in the astral plane. Clearing and healing your subconscious of unhealthy patterns is paramount to a magical practitioner. Once you realize that you have created something, you can banish it. And we're going to jump around here. He does give some information on if you come into contact with something you did not create. So do read that. There is also a fear that, and I like this one, because this is something that kept me from wanting to really let go and do astral travel whenever I first started. There's also the fear that your astral body is harmed or separate. If your astral body is harmed or separated from your physical body, you will die. I call this the body and soul fear, because it is based on the old notion that one part of you is physical and the other part is spiritual, your soul. Okay. So whenever you're doing astral travel and whatnot, you actually have something that connects you to your physical body. You are not going to get disconnected. Your soul is not going to float out into the ether because you're astral traveling. People astral travel and don't realize they do it. If it was that easy for somebody to die from astral travel and whatnot, it would happen a lot more. We would see a lot more deaths of people that were perfectly healthy that went asleep and just croaked. There's medical explanations, there's medical reasoning. This is not something that happens. So I like what he says on 231 here. Don't let such notions scare or control you. Strongly associated with the astral is the emotional plane and the level of your emotional body. And again, I'm jumping around here. And then he goes on to the mental place is the next layer, because he's explaining these layers. And we've gone through these for the most part. Whenever you're talking about this, you're also talking about the chakra levels and whatnot. So keeping that in mind. And if you want me to go into more detail about these different layers, I can, but I didn't really see any need to. The mental place is the next layer, and I do not mean to imply that the mental is above the emotions, but that the mind is in some ways less dense in vibration than the emotional body. The mental plane is the place of thought and creation. The mental plane is strongly tied to the element of air in the throat chakra, where we speak our thoughts. Linked to the third eye, again, I'm jumping around here. Linked to the third eye is the psychic plane, where we receive and send out knowledge and information. Lastly is the crown chakra, associated with the divine plane. Our divine selves represent the highest level of consciousness, our complete knowing and understanding of all. The very last thing I wanted to read out here was on 232. It's the very last sentence here. And I think Jelly's bumping the mic, so if you're hearing that, I do apologize. And you see what I put up with over here. Cuteness. Okay. Understanding more than one perspective gives you an added insight into many systems and keeps you from being too attached to your way being the right way for everyone. Always keep that in mind, that just because your way works for you does not mean it's the right way for everyone. And sometimes I suggest switching things up and trying somebody else's. So anyway, try somebody else's way for a little bit and then come back to your own way and see which one you liked more. Moving on. Exercise 26 is about psychic travel, and I'm not going to read all that. And then he gives a couple personal accounts of psychic travel. And then we have new assignments is to complete exercise 26, complete and record your experience in your book of shadows. Start a dream journal. Affirm that you will remember your dreams when you wake up. And keep an open notebook and pen on the nightstand. You can even use a tape recorder if you like. When you wake up, write down or record the first thing you remember. The first few times might be blank, but you will be training yourself to write down your dreams. A fragmented sentence can make the whole thing come back to you. Dreams are important to unlocking the inner world. Dream recording helps you remember meditations more vividly. So, yeah, I do recommend keeping a dream journal. I have not. I've tried in the past, and it's so hard for me to remember to grab that notepad. Excuse you. Get down for a minute. Daddy's almost done. It is so hard for me to remember to grab that notepad and write the stuff down. What I should do is I do have a little digital recorder. I should just grab that, especially since my boyfriend will be sleeping next to me. He usually doesn't get up whenever I do. I get up, I get ready for work, I make coffee and all that. That would be the perfect time for me to sit there with the recorder and say, okay, here's what I had in my dreams tonight. Captain's log, that type of thing. That would be a good thing for me to do. So I may have to fish out my digital voice recorder and start doing that. You can do it with your phone, but that's less cool. Because, well, I spent the money like a dummy for a digital recorder after I already had an iPhone. I was the dummy that did that. So now I'm going to use the stinking thing. Anyway. No, I actually love my digital recorder. I bought it for whenever, ghost hunting was a big thing and whatnot. And it kind of still is, but less so now. And the more and more I look into it, the more and more I'm kind of like, I don't want to bother them. I just want to help them. I don't want to taunt them. I want to help them. That type of thing. So, like, shouting out into the ether and trying to catch it on tape is just kind of rude and creepy, I think. So my views on that have definitely changed. But yes, I do have a digital recorder that I bought mostly for that purpose. That and, recording interviews with family for my genealogy research and whatnot. But yeah, I should probably get that out. I think I know where that's at too. So, and I do need to transfer one of the files to my computer so it doesn't get accidentally deleted, because that is my conversation with a cousin of mine that told me like the entire one side of my family. Fantastic day. I love that day. It was like 8 hours, long of a recording. It's great. So anyway, continuing assignments, daily journal, 3 pages a day. I'm doing 1, maybe 2, somewhere around there, just being honest. Focus on a regular meditation practice at least 3 times a week, if not daily. Honor and recognize your intuition. Continue to ask it questions. Yeah, I'll do that. Use instant magic, neutralization, light, and aura reading in your daily life. Not all of that's going to be done in my daily life. I'm just going to be honest with you there. Sometimes insomnia is a gentle sign to do introspective work. Though we must balance our daily health and sleep needs, if you find yourself in a period of insomnia, it may be time to do a little introspective work, journaling and meditating. Once you receive your message, your body will settle down and sleep. Listen to your body and find a balance that suits your life and health. Extended periods of insomnia are unhealthy for your body and psyche. Okay. I'm starting to get stuttery here, so we're going to have to wrap this up pretty quickly. If you suffer from difficult dreams and nightmares and suspect an external psychic attack, surround yourself and your bed with a protection shield, as done in Chapter 9. Using the color blue is very powerful for this. If you continue to have nightmares, really pay attention Yeah, really pay attention to the images. Your higher self may be giving you a message or pointing out a fear you need to overcome. If you have troubles with your psychic projection exercise, start out by visualizing a bright cloud of smoke or vapor being released from your body, usually via one of your chakras. The cloud floats before you and takes shape, forming a perfect, idealized duplicate of you. Project your senses, mind, and sense of self-awareness into the duplicate. Imagine jumping out of the body and into the duplicate. Then continue onward in the astral double. Okay. Wow. So, quite the chapter and a lot of things discussed in there. Let me know what you think by leaving a comment below. Leave a comment in my pants, if you will. Join me tomorrow for what are we doing tomorrow? I just did the video on this. The parable of the sower. Join me tomorrow for the parable of the sower for Christo-Paganism Sunday. Join me on Tuesday where we are doing the Nine of Swords on Witchy Wednesday. I'm not quite sure what we're doing yet, but leave a comment in my pants what you would like to see for Witchy Wednesday. And then we have Table Talk Thursday, and join me back here next Saturday for a Witchy Book Club series, The Inner Temple of Witchcraft, Chapter 13. Lucky 13. I love it. It's a baker's dozen. So, anyway, it is like, 12 to 9. I need to get this edited and uploaded and whatnot, so it is released on time for you guys. Again, leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of this chapter. It was kind of a floofy chapter, a little kind of dull compared to some of the others that were more robust, more in depth of knowledge. But this one overall I think was okay. I don't think it was as strong of a chapter. We've certainly seen better chapters by Christopher Penczak, but I think we've seen one or two that were a little less informative. This is probably one of the lesser informative chapters in this book that I've seen so far. So, let me know what you think by leaving a comment in my pants. And until next time, may you have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye-bye.